Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is Gabriela Masala. Gabriela Masala is the author of her third book, Everyday Magnificent: Practices to Activate an Unlimited Life. You can find out more about Gabriela Masala at her website, gabrielamasala.com. Welcome, Gabriela.
Hi, thank you. Great to be here.
Now, Gabriela Masala, your book, Everyday Magnificent, is this a journal? What kind of a book is this actually?
It is an expressive arts interactive journal. So the first 20 or 30 pages are introductory, overview, and then a series of dozens of activities, meditations, practices, expressive arts and energy medicine opportunities to then dive into the next 150 pages, which are templates. So it's not really my book, it's your book or the participant's book as it comes alive for them uniquely.
So it's basically a journal that helps us to uncover our own creative process. Is that right?
Definitely, yes. And all of the wisdom and insight and joy and reality creation, so that it starts out as a daily life design journal that can take us out of old continuity or out of outgrown belief systems, that can inspire new life. But over time, it really becomes a kind of field journal for becoming a reality artist or a life artist of a life of magnificence by our own definition.
Now, I'd like during this interview for us to focus on the topic about how our creativity connects us to our unlimited nature. And I just want to make a comment because I'm currently writing my 10th book. And once you've done something for a while and once you understand your own creative process, then you have sort of systems and processes that help you do that. Mm-hmm. And for me, what I do is I wake up in the morning, and this is every morning, not just when I'm writing. I wake up in the morning and I pray and I meditate. And sometimes I also do breathing exercises. So I have this whole little protocol, and it allows me to get into the highest vibratory state that I can and begin my day. And a lot of my books are actually written lying in bed with my laptop. But my favorite place to write is actually in my hammock. So basically, for me, I get into this state, which I can only describe as a transcendental state, mm-hmm. and just channel. But this is me. And I even one time talked to Esther Hicks. I got on stage at a Esther Hicks conference, and I got her insight about creativity and how to sort of get in the mindset where we can be creative. But Gabriela Masala, this is your third book. How do you feel as an author and creator, our creativity connects us to our unlimited nature?
Well, exactly what you said is spot on. And I think that's such a potent and beautiful way for anyone to start the day, to really set the tone and get into the highest vibrational state where we're actually accessing our deepest self and our soul nature or unlimited nature, whatever words you want to use to wrap around that. And that our creativity is a catalyst for evolution or transformation, to receive insights, to give our best self. My experience working with thousands of people in the realm of expressive and movement, creative arts over the last few decades is that when we are creating, we're at our best. We are tapping the force of creation itself. We are coming alive with the energy that is our greatest contribution, ideally, to our families, to our world, to our community, your books, your writing, that of course, and being, even I have this vision of you being out in nature and surrounded by the vibrations and beauty of nature, and being perhaps in a emotional state, in a brainwave state, alpha, or where we're connecting to that flow of infinite information in the field that's coming through uniquely for each of us to express.
Yes, and you described that really well, because for me, of course, I live in Atlanta where it's very, very hot. It's been a quite hot summer, but I really love the early mornings where it's a little bit cooler. And I'm outside, I have my dog with me. It's very, very quiet, but I can hear the birds. I see the hawks flying in the sky. I see the trees waving in the wind. And, you know, in that very deep state, I'm listening. I'm literally listening to my divine guidance and allowing the words to flow through me. Now, Gabriela Masala, in your wonderful new book, Everyday Magnificence, you talk about our unlimited nature. What do you mean by our unlimited nature?
Great question. Again, I'll tie it into the beautiful example you just gave, that early morning, the movement of the trees, the flight of the birds' songs, the deep breath, the quieting, that there's a way that this takes us outside of the programs of our culture, the conventions, belief systems, agreement fields. Nature, I think, is one of the best teachers of unlimited being. We can look at this response as a way of tapping into the infinite field of possibilities, the unified field. Some call it the mystery, great spirit, God force. That my experience is that our unlimited nature is that energy, but it's here in its own unique spark in this vessel. I love how you talk about that we are a physical body, an emotional body, an energy body, a spiritual body. And so when we are moving from the soul, when we're living from the soul, that is our unlimited nature. That's the way that I experience it. And for me, that is the most beautiful way to be guided to live a life.
Absolutely. And I know for myself, when I'm writing in this deep state, it's an incredibly joyous experience. I mean, I just feel really, really happy. I feel really calm and at peace, right? And I'm really setting my intention for energy and information to flow through me for the highest good of the planet. And it's a very blessed experience. Now, Gabriela Masala, the author of Everyday Magnificence, you also talk about living an unlimited life. What is an unlimited life? What does that mean?
Another great question. It is self-defined. First of all, I want to really bow to that each of us is a unique soul with a unique mission, calling, inspiration. And so the first response is, what does that mean to each person? What would it mean to be unlimited and to live a life that is unlimited? On the most basic level, it can begin with looking at what limitation is for us, even where we feel like we might be living someone else's idea of what success is, or where we may not even consciously feel that we're a victim to economy or family of origin or societal norms, and really busting out of all of that, finding a place where we can be living for and from the soul, where we are following what we know by heart, where we're kind of surrendering and relinquishing to needing external validation, and really living from a place where we're tapping into, in a baseline way, in a sustainable and repeatable way, consistently, our ability to feel as alive as possible, vibrant, healthy, free, healthy emotional flow and body, able to access our elevated states that are our natural states of joy, of deep peace, of deep connection and communion with all life, of being able to walk through the world in a way that feels enlivening and perhaps even feels like I'm on soul purpose. Again, you spoke to it so beautifully, Catherine, where you said that when you are doing your soul's work, you're writing, you're receiving, you feel alive and joyful, and you're right in that sweet spot. That's our unlimited life.
Absolutely. And, you know, the other thing that's interesting about it is that it's effortless,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I'm making an effort because I'm focusing and I'm there and I'm fully present, but it's like I'm being done, right? It's flowing through me.
Yes.
Now, Gabriela Masala, how does our creativity and the creative process itself allow us to transcend limiting beliefs, limiting visions of ourselves, limiting ideas about what we should be or how we should live our life into this field of pure potential?
I love that question. Uh, Two ways that I'll answer it. The first is that to have an intimate relationship to our creative life, whether we are writing or dancing or singing or gardening or parenting, holding creativity as a value, as a unique way that energy moves through us, we do need to take the part of our mind that's very analytical, that lives in a world of matter and separation and judgment and measurement. And we need to compassionately say, please step aside. Because that sense of being in intimate relationship to our creativity is going to require childlike wonder, surrender, letting go, playfulness, a willingness to experiment, to color outside the lines. So if the analytical brain, measuring, judging, critical, is too loud, the high beta brain waves, it's going to be challenging to access creativity, intuition, those very natural states. And I like to call it whole brain coherence, so that we get all of those elements of our intelligence online and our heart online. And so when we're willing to do that and say to the critic, step aside, thank you, but we're not going to listen to your voice, then we can really dive into a whole experience of being in the vortex, being in the place where our creative energy is fueling us, is in the very nature of creating. We're moving energy, whether it's a dance or again, you know, I want to make it practical. You can cook in a creative way. You can have relationships in a creative way. You can be in life as a living creative experience. It is keeping energy moving. It is showing us constantly through that, just like those beautiful mandalas and sand paintings that are created in the Tibetan tradition, that we create something amazing and beautiful and then we let it go, so that even who I think I am, my belief systems, my emotional patterns, all of those get just moved and vibrated and changed. The creative practice process is a catalyst for transformation. It moves energy.
I completely agree with you. And I want to, for our audience, I want to sort of tie this back to natural healing. When I'm doing a medical intuitive reading, one of the things I can look at is what I call your cantillation. So what is that? What is your cantillation? And your cantillation, first of all, is going to be unique to you, but your cantillation is any activity that you can do that raises your vibration so high that it literally lifts you up out of disease. So all illness, all disease is simply, you know, slowed down vibration. So once you understand, and we've all experienced that, if you've ever been in a nursing home, for example, the energy is so slowed down, you can be there for 5 minutes and keep looking at your watch and go, oh my God, I think I've been here for 3 hours, and you've only been there for 5 minutes or so. So once you understand that all illness is slowed down vibration, that anything that literally lifts your vibration and increases your frequency is going to have a profound effect on your overall well-being. And this is one of the key concepts in natural healing. So going back to what's your cantillation, and again, it's any activity that can raise your vibration to a very high degree. So let me give you some examples. For one person, it might be walking your dog in nature.
Mm-hmm.
For another person, it could be writing poetry or playing the guitar, right? For
Mm-hmm.
another person, it could be physical intimacy, with a help in a love relationship, right? For someone else, it could be public speaking, where you're inspired and you're uplifting a group of people with your words, right? So
Yes, yes.
yeah, so Gabriela Masala, your book Everyday Magnificent, what are some examples of some activities that you can think of that really help to lift people up, even if they don't consider themselves an artist or a writer?
It's a great question. And really, the entire book is designed to uplift the vibration and to bring us more in alignment with who we are on a soul level and why we're here on the planet at this time. So there's so many examples, all kinds of meditations, again, tying right back to what you said, walking meditation, dancing meditation, seated meditation, where we're flooding our field with gratitude, even just, and so many studies have shown it, though, from the medical intuitive or energy medicine realm. We don't need the scientific studies, but even science has proven now that the power of flooding our field with gratitude, or the exchange of love and contact, the oxytocin, the chemistry that's created that uplifts our vibration, is so powerful and yet so simple. So there's many practices that include also inquiry and journaling that are appreciative inquiry, that encourage us to look at where we thrive, encourage us to look at what brings us joy. There's practices literally like jump for joy, to set your timer for 1 minute and start expressing your energy and joyfully moving. And it's so simple, playful, easy. And yet I'm amazed at how many people are uncomfortable being free, using their voices and moving their bodies. So again, I tie it to, it also requires us to deprogram from anywhere that we've been told, you're not a singer, you're not a dancer, you're not a poet, you're not XYZ, and to say, no, actually our birthright is to be creatively alive, is to be energetically vibrating, is to tap these natural birthright elevated states of peace, of joy, of love, of, of awe, of wonder. And we get to choose about that. And that's what all of the practices bring us back to.
That's really very insightful. And from a medical intuitive healer perspective, I want to sort of share what I see when someone is in its creative state. So first of all, you have a vertical electrical current in your body. It's called the Hara line. And it goes from above the crown of your head through you all the way down into the earth. Now this Hara line, and bear with me because I may get a little bit technical.
I
The
love it.
Hara line, this vertical current feeds the energy centers called the chakras. A lot of people are familiar with the chakras. The chakras are vortexes of energy. They correspond to your endocrine glands. So the Hara feeds the chakras. The chakras, in turn, feed your acupuncture meridians. You've heard of acupuncture. The meridians feed your organs, your heart, your liver, your lungs, your spleen, etc., your large intestine, small intestine, right? Your organs. So the meridians feed your organs, and then the organs feed your muscles. So going back to the creative process, when you open your channels creatively, when you open your channels to creativity, what you literally do is you allow the energy to flow through you, right? And when you are allowing this beneficial chi to flow through you, it literally enlivens you. And you're allowing this energy to come through you through divine inspiration, feeding your chakras, which feeds your meridians, which feed your organs, which feed your muscles. So this is literally an actual way to be a healthier person, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it is a way to engage what I like to call our divine human nature. And that as humans, in some ways, I feel like we're just actually arriving to the earth and to our bodies and our potential, that there's such an unlimited potential that we have as electromagnetic beings to use our emotional energy as an intelligence, and our mental energy as an intelligence, and our creative energy as an intelligence, and to bring it alive, embodied. That of course it feeds all of those systems, and it ultimately makes us more useful and compassionate contributors to humanity and to our planetary family. And who doesn't need everyone lit up and contributing their best right now? So
Yeah. And you know, if you look at the lives of a lot of creative people, Pablo Picasso, a lot of symphony conductors, for example, are known to live very long lives. And I think it's because they are habituated to allowing the creative divine inspiration to literally flow through them, right?
yes.
So it's not celery juice. It's not taking a supplement. It's not practicing yoga, as wonderful that as that may be, right? It's literally being creative and allowing this divine inspiration to flow through you that extends your longevity. Now, Gabriela Masala, author of Everyday Magnificence, you talk about having a direct line to source. What do you mean by that, and why is that important?
What I mean by that, keeping it very simple, source, again, every participant or reader or listener can fill in the blank, whether they call that source God or the unified field or the mystery or Allah or Buddha nature, that there is an infinite field of energy, and that when we have a direct relationship with that, and I love the invisible realm. I love the divine or source energy by all names. And the key here being that it's love. When we develop an intimate relationship to that, you spoke to it as well. You listen and receive, right? When we're in conversation with that energy and we are our direct line, our direct source, it is an intimate relationship, and we bond. And through that bonding, there's connection, there's communion, there's companionship. And so that is, in my experience, available to every single one of us to have that unique connection, that unique communion and direct line to spirit, to the field, to the infinite, to the creative pool of all possibilities. And that when we have our direct line to that, we can listen for what is our work in the world, what is our contribution, how can we serve, and that when we're doing that, it lights us up. Again, you spoke so beautifully to it, sharing about your own practices and your own work, mine as well, and that when we're having that direct source, we can stay unwavering, and we are not going to be victims or pushed around by the good opinions of others or the controlling opinions of others, for that matter. Just part of my message is really to support people to do the experiment. Check it out for yourself. Don't believe me. But what happens when you look to establish a direct line to the power of life and let that come in and through you intimately?
Now, your book, Gabriela Masala, Everyday Magnificent, the subtitle is Practices to Activate an Unlimited Life. Would you be willing to share for our audience maybe one or two of your favorite practices from your wonderful, beautiful new book?
Sure. So the practices are split into many different kinds of meditations: journaling, inquiry, to-be lists instead of to-do lists, source creations instead of just goals, gratitude lists, wild card practices like writing a letter from your elder wise self to your present self, or your young magical child self to your present self. But then a lot of the practices are embodied. So and the embodiment is so key, because insight can come mentally or energetically But once we ground it in the body and embody it, it really allows us to make change and transform. So I love soul dancing, and I love the process of putting on music and just getting into your body and letting energy move. I love all of the energy medicine practices of tapping and vibrating, sounding, using our own voice and sound to release any blockages or connect to our own sound chamber of voice. I love joint spiral, getting and moving every single one of your joints in your spine and just getting that chi flowing through. And then I really love practices that are out in the natural world, as I really feel that nature is one of the greatest teachers of what it is to be in harmony, in wholeness, in connection with all life. So even a practice as simple as sitting in silence for 5 to 10 minutes outside and just receiving so many of the teachings and the vibrational medicine of the natural world. There's so many, Catherine, so I'm just going to pause there.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, there's a lot of research about journaling, and even things like there's research about if you just keep a journal, that'll even cure things like asthma, things that you wouldn't think would have any possibility of being healed by journals. Can you give us an example from any of the people that you've worked with who've maybe done your practices and kept your journal and experienced transformation in their own lives?
Yes, definitely. I will do that. And I'll say too, to just have discernment that to journal and just kind of dump negativity is very different than to intentionally have a journal, whether it's with the book I've written, Everyday Magnificent, or some other form, and there are many, that it is an appreciative way of noting those moments where you are feeling the magic of life, where you're feeling gratitude, where you're in the flow. It can become a way of, even there are studies that show that if we write our intentions or goals, they're 80% more likely to be manifest. And then, Catherine, if we draw or use images or pictures, it's even faster because the brain, that creative part of our brain, works in pictures, so that you can even make a picture of yourself in maybe in a circle, which draws in the energy where you are happy and vibrant and healthy, and maybe you're holding your 10th book and it's been published, and that is a fast track to bringing that into form. And you know this because you've been living this process forever. The changes that I've seen too are that when people are using their own words, their own hand, their own focus on seeing where am I now, who am I really, and where am I going? And where am I going again from a soul, heart-led place, not from the persona or the ego that's kind of looking after the I, me, mine. But where's the bigger picture of my life moving me? And they start to journal with that. Again, whether it's my book or others, they start to engage their body and their emotional energy and their vision for their future. They start to make miraculous changes in, first and foremost, their own experience of living in their lives. They fall in love with their lives because they realize that they're the ones that have the ability to lift up that vibration, to lift up that volume. Their relationships change. I see them start new careers. I see them finish things that they started as children or as dreams that were buried, that resurface and they can follow through on. I see people leave relationships that are no longer life-giving for them. So I see the full spectrum of transformation, and often it's visual. You can see it in someone when they light up to their lives. You can see that change. It might look like the disappearance of symptoms and vibrant health, the shedding of pounds, the lifting of depression, right? It can look a lot of different ways. And you know this. You've been in the field doing your own version of this amazing work.
Yes. Now, Gabriela Masala, author of Everyday Magnificent, I love that you intentionally created this book as a journal so that the reader or writer or artist, part of you participates. So you're not just reading this book passively, you get to participate in this. why did, as you, the author, why did you intentionally write the book this way?
I have always been kind of creative mutt. So for decades, first in my own life, for as long as I can remember, and then for the last 25 years in my professional work, I've integrated into my therapeutic practice all of these expressive arts, journaling, get out the art supplies, authentic movement, dance therapy, sound healing, singing. So I use this for my own soul bubbling, enlivening way of life. And then I've seen the power of it in others' lives. There's so many amazing books out there and so much information that we can read that can really shift us. And I honor that so much. My intention in creating an interactive journal was that it creates a process, a discovery, a journey. And so that if someone has the book and touches it and just even just one page a day for 125 days, at the end of that time, they've gone through a metamorphosis, and it's art and expression as process rather than as product. And that was really my inspiration, to give something that immediately can be put into practice in a practical way, that can be both playful and regenerative and life-giving, and that also is a a field guide and companion for someone in their lives. So even if someone has a full-time job and a full-time family, and if they can niche 20 minutes a day to work with the journal, in the course of that 3 months, they will be transformed by it. They will learn so much about themselves, and they will have a chance to see their own co-creative divine power.
Now, Gabriela Masala, what are the key takeaways you hope readers will experience from your journal's process?
I would hope that participants in their own journal take away a sense of lighting up to their own creative inspiration, to their heart's joy, that they either remember or reinforce the best of who they are in this moment on the planet at this time, why they're here, what lights them up, how they want to contribute. And I would really hold the intention that it serves to deepen their intimate relationship with the mystery of life in their own way, that it really puts the power back in their own hands to create an incredible life by their own definition.
Now, Gabriela Masala, I know this is your third book. Would you share with our audience about your other two books? What are the other two books? What are the titles and what are they about?
Sure. The Inner Wealth is a book and set of card deck that has expressive arts activities, oracles, inquiry, and that's to be used both personally and then also in a facilitative setting for those who are facilitating circles or who are teachers or who are working with groups. It's a way to connect groups, again, to that magic of their own uniqueness, their hearts, their aliveness, and then create cohesion and group bonding around that. That's the Inner Wealth. And then the other one is One Love Nuggets. And that is just a series of simple, one sentence, uplifting, vibrationally enhancing little pearls of wisdom and remembrance. Just that reminds us of who we already have always been, infinite, amazing love beings.
Now, obviously, you yourself are an author. What other forms of creativity do you enjoy on a regular basis?
Great question. I am a dancer, a lover of dance and ecstatic dance, shamanic dance, dance as medicine, and love to work with both men and women, children, in reminding us that we're all dancers and that movement is a birthright. And so dance is huge for me. And I love to work with visual art. I love to play in mandalas and circles as a way to put image, form, color there. I love to sing, and I'm a song carrier that shares songs from indigenous and mother tongue languages from all over the world, and really feel that singing and song and sounding is incredible medicine for our own inner wellness as well as community wellness. So I love it. I love to garden. I love to cook. I love to write. I'm a mutt.
There you go. Now, I know for myself, two other forms of creativity that I enjoy on a regular basis are actually making jewelry and knitting.
Beautiful.
And of course, gardening. If you've seen my website, catherinecarrigan.com, you know I'm a gardener, although this summer in Atlanta has been terrible for gardening. So I raised my orchids. It's less dependent on, on global warming. But at any rate, what I find as a creative person, if I get stuck in one area, like if I get stuck with my writing, if I go and make jewelry or knit, it helps to sort of unblock me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and also by engaging in different forms of creativity, I've come to learn and appreciate my own creative process. So for example, I can recall times when I was making jewelry and I was thinking, who would like this? I don't know, but someone will like it, right? And it's very helpful to have that attitude when you're writing, because sometimes you're like, who am I writing this for? I don't know, but it's going to speak to someone, right? And sometimes when I was making jewelry, I would make jewelry intentionally for a specific person. So I can recall one time there was a lady who had had heart surgery, and I made a necklace for her with gemstones that are specifically about healing the heart. So you can direct your creativity for an individual person, or also just set your intention that someone somewhere this is going to really speak to. So Gabriela Masala, you do all these creative activities. How do you think that engaging in different creative endeavors helps to improve our creativity and open up our whole creative process?
That's a great question. And again, you just said it so beautifully. It primes the pump. It keeps energy moving. It keeps our soul bubbling. It keeps us on track in that sweet spot. It's a way of being in intimate relationship with life. Our creativity is a birthright, and our whole lives can become a living, creative process. We are reality artists, and keeping that sense of expression and that part of our heart, brain, whole being intelligence in movement is a gift to everyone around us as well as to ourselves.
So for our audience, I would like to share a process that I sometimes use with clients when I'm doing healing work, believe it or not. And it has to do with pictures. So what I have people do is I'll have you do a picture of yourself, maybe as you think you are now. And you don't have to be an artist. Many people will say, well, all I can do is draw stick figures. I'm like, fine. So draw a picture of yourself as you are now. And then I have the person talk about themselves and how they see themselves now. And I'll say, okay, right, that's good. Now I want you to draw a picture of how you would like to be. And this is very, very instructive. I remember years ago, I started intuitively doing this with clients who, when I was doing healing work with people who had eating disorders. And so they would draw a picture, and then they would tell me everything that they hate about their body and what they feel is wrong about their body, the areas of pain and, emotional and physical pain. And then they would, when they draw the picture of how they would like to be, it's quite interesting because I would watch them, and in a nutshell, they would find balance. So maybe they would start drawing the picture and the person was like super skinny, and they go, I really don't want to be that way. And they would draw this picture of themselves as a more balanced person. And then I asked the person, okay, well, what do you think you need to do to get from this first picture into the second picture? And then it opens up their unlimited potential so that they can see, I can actually become this person.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. I am possible. And then also they follow their own soul guidance. So I'm not telling them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying, hey, you need to exercise every day, or maybe you need to eat better, or maybe you need to meditate to calm yourself down. Like, you intuitively know this
Mm-hmm.
information is already within you.
That's
So,
beautiful. Yes.
so Gabriela Masala, what are some insights and processes from your own journal, Everyday Magnificent, that you have that help people to see their own possibilities?
That's a great question. My inspiration is always to direct people to their own inner knowing and their own hearts. And that's part of why the creative process of working with authentic movement and witnessing, to what you just described of working with diagramming the present to the future, and then supporting someone through their own intuition, guiding them, and how do you get there? And then they really build muscle and build strength and the ability to keep walking themselves forward. They become sovereign and empowered. And that's really, that's my greatest prayer for any of my clients and anyone who's touched by any of what I offer, that they can know that it is within them, that genius, that intuition, that wisdom, that creative ability to create the life of their dreams is right there. It's in their breath, it's in their spine, it's at their fingertips.
Now, you talk about the art of intention and surrender. What is the art of intention, and what does it mean to surrender? How can we do both?
Isn't that great? I love to think of it, Catherine, as a sacred marriage, as a circle of wholeness. That we are, as you know and have shared even in this time together, that we are electromagnetic beings. And there's a part of us that can hold a really clear mental intention and picture and goal, desire, whatever that may be. And that ideally that's aligned with our highest self and being directed from the soul. So that for me is part of what I mean by intention, that when I have an intention, it's an intention that is surrendered to, if this is in alignment with my highest good and will serve the whole, here's what I'm putting out into the universe. And that then there's also the emotional charge, the magnetic charge of how would that feel? What's the elevated state that would match it? What is the I am present moment living embodiment of that? And kind of putting that out there, married to the intention, and then sending that out into the universe in whatever way, with our prayer, with our meditation, with our movements. And then there's the surrender of, I've put this out into the universe, I'm taking the inspired action, that's my work to do, and I'm surrendering, I'm letting go, and I'm trusting that if this is in the highest good, it will come into manifestation in the right and ripe time and way. And so there's that sense of too much intention and we can go into control and force, too much surrender and we're not engaged in the process of co-creation. So that's why I really love to play with the dance of both.
Right. I really appreciate that you say that we both have to have an intention and also let go of the outcome about what it's going to look like or when it's going to happen, right? And from a medical intuitive perspective, as you know, every organ has emotions associated with it. And the emotion associated with willpower is actually your adrenal glands. So when you power through life trying to control everything, everybody, life itself, the weather, you're literally stressing your adrenals, right? And so, but there's this balance that Gabriela is talking about where you surrender to the rhythm, you trust your process, you trust life, you trust the flow, and you allow things to come as they need to be. So, Gabriela Masala, any final thoughts for our audience about Everyday Magnificent?
Final thoughts, gratitude, just a sense of gratitude for this moment, a gratitude for whoever is hearing this, that they hear exactly what they needed so that they can walk into a life of more beauty and more ease and flow, and to find their sweet spot and live that into the world. That we need that from, if each of us finds that sweet spot in ourselves and lights up and is living for the soul, that is such a gift to our planetary family. And I thank you, Catherine. It's been a joy to talk with you. You're so much wisdom. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for being here. You've been listening to Gabriela Masala. You can read her wonderful book that we've been talking about today, Everyday Magnificence: Practices to Activate an Unlimited Life, and find out more about Gabriela at gabrielamasala.com. Thank you so much for listening. This is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. And you can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. And remember, when you open yourself to your own creativity, you're literally opening up the energy channels that allow powerful, health-giving chi to flow through you. You extend your life, you heal your mind and body, and you feel wonderful. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.